seen the PMV, it's come with that twisty neck deal. That's the biggest reason that I've seen it. But and I thought, I don't know, my way of thinking is get rid of the problem and it goes away, which I mean it does. But I've since found out that it can show up in birds that are apparently completely healthy, and there's kind of a mystery and myth about that too. I've had a lot of experienced guys that have dealt with the PMV and that kind of stuff. They've told me that it does go away. Other guys that are deathly afraid of it take that sucker out and that kind of stuff. But I had an experience where I bought a bird and I brought it home and I put it up and I started watching it, and on the 4th of July started doing the boogie dance. Looks like the Exorcist. It looked like, it was crazy. It was the craziest thing I ever saw, and it was like at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm not sure if the fireworks stressed her out or what the deal was, but she just started tripping, and she's consistently done it since I've had her over a month and a half. She's not sick, she's feeling fine. She's actually put on weight, and I'm hoping that one day she molts out nice, but she's just got that issue, and it come from PMV. Fortunately, the guy that I got her from, he was honest about, he told me that he had it go through his loft, and his assumption was that it, when the bird got stressed, that it showed back up.
The symptoms.
The symptoms. No, nothing. I mean, I've got a few birds, like somewhere between 80 and 100 ish. Mm-hmm. And if I did have it in my home, the rest of them surely would have been affected by it. So
right.
I think we're good there. But I guess the reason, I found that article so interesting is it does give a timeline on how long it takes for the bird to shed, how long that bird sheds that virus and is controlled.
Right. Yeah. And that's the scary part, like you're talking about, where, just based on the fear aspect, you want to, even the amount of time that PMV can be contracted back off of the surface. Right. You'll see you have a bird actively with PMV in a loft. You pull all your birds out of that loft. Like, when are you going to feel 100% comfortable putting birds back in there? Like that. That's really good about that article. You say, it talks pretty clear about some of that stuff, and when it's a virus thing like that too. I mean, so you have a bird that might get symptoms, but it's not bringing back the virus to where it can contaminate the rest of your birds. And we talked before about even the ability to have that bird mother some other birds and pass on its antibodies. I mean,
that was something that was
that's
told
interesting.
To me. That was something that was told. I've heard that several times, and I've been watching these these guys in Belgium and across the pond, we'll say, they believe that you need to keep a little bit of dirt, a little bit of droppings in your loft. A lot of them have beautiful lofts. They don't leave them filthy, but they do keep droppings in there for the antibodies. And I believe that probably there's more birds than we know of that have had PMV, because it doesn't affect them all the same.
Right.
If they get supportive care soon enough, it doesn't start doing the neuro stuff and all that crap. It's just it's a game of numbers too. That 6-week period, if I don't catch it before other birds get contaminated, I never know when the last one's sick. That could be a long time.
Yeah. I read before where if you build a new loft and it's, you know, all brand new wood and everything's all brand new, that you want to take droppings from your old loft and kind of spread it around and let it kind of get in there, just to keep the birds' immunities up. And you know, I sometimes wonder if that wasn't some of the problem that I was having with my stuff, because I would be over the top. I would clean my breeder loft out. I'd clean it every day. I mean, it was like a house in there. You know, I clean it every day. And I talked to some of these older breeders, and they say the same thing about, as long as the droppings are dry, that's the key. Because even a little bit of wet droppings can be a problem. But as long as the droppings are dry, you know, some guys are saying every 3-4 months, go in there and clean it out, but let it sit. And that just keeps them, you know, strong immune systems, and it keeps them kind of, you know, strengthened up on that side.
Yeah, when I went over to a guy's house. He's got a bunch of nice birds. A few, they're not gigantic lofts. I'd say they're what, 8x12 ish, you know, but they're tall, and they've got an open front on them and everything, and the fly cage and stuff, covered on 3 sides. But all of his stuff was facing west, and I mean, he lives like practically on the face of the sun.
Yeah,
you know, this guy lives. It's a barren desert out there. So I was like, wow, you know, that's got to be awful hot. You know, these birds ain't, you know, it's facing the sun. And what he told me was that his theory was that the faster you can dry those droppings out, the better. They like sun. And as long as they got water and stuff like that, and they got a place to get in the shade and that kind of thing, it's not an issue for him. And I thought that was interesting, you know, and it makes a lot of sense too, because wetness creates ammonia, because that feces is breaking down, and that's like ammonia is the greatest way to cause a respiratory illness anyway.
Yeah,
you know, that's just bad juju. Dampness. I mean, I think that was one of the first things that everybody told me about pigeons is they need airflow, but it can't be drafty, and no dampness. Dampness kills the birds, which is like pretty much all birds if you step back and look at it. I mean, they don't really like any of that stuff. So
right. I mean, that's, and you know, honestly, with all of my stuff, I've always been scared of contracting any kind of diseases or anything like that, because I knew that it would be hard to track down and fix, and plus I didn't want to lose any of my birds. You know, I enjoy my birds, so, you know, I didn't want to have that happen. So that's why I used to clean my loft every day. And, you know, ventilation was like one of the things you always hear about, like, regardless of where you're seeing it, like, it's ventilation is a key point, keeping it all dry. And so, you know, I did everything by the book with my stuff, you know, and that's why it would drive me bonkers. And I'd go see some of these lofts and I'm like, man, you got pigeon droppings 2 feet high in there, you know, but they were dry, you know, and in my head I was like, oh, that needs to be cleaned, you know, but it doesn't, because they're just keeping it dry. And so it was, yeah.
One thing that's deceptive about a lot of these fancy, pretty lofts is that you can't see where the ventilation is. They've cleverly put it in. They'll show it off to you. You know, they show you the dowel ceilings and the graded floors and stuff. You don't consider that. To me, my first thought was that was to make it easier to clean. The droppings fall through.
Oh, right.
That's actually ventilation, straight up. That's
for sure.
It's you know, it took me a minute to figure that out. And now that's what's going on in my loft. I'm looking for ways to ventilate my loft, because that one bird, you know, we were just talking to Joe about with the canker deal.
Yeah.
I don't have enough ventilation. But anyway, back to the PMV. So 6 weeks, they say, right? 6 weeks is what that thing said, that they can shed the illness. Now, I guess the only question I have is it 6 weeks from the time they contract it, from the time it's incubated, from the time they've cleared it? You know, that's the only thing that it's not clear to me on. 6 weeks from when? From the time I notice it? Well, they say, I did notice in there where it said that any birds that what does it say? Any birds that don't show symptoms within 10 days can be vaccinated safely. So What does that mean? Pull the affected member out and wait 10 days to see what you got, and then vaccinate?
I mean, typically when you hear about like the shedding, you know, that's typically, I mean, this is just me thinking out loud, but after the bird is over it, they can still pass it on, is what I would say.
So we're talking 12 weeks from
Right.
the time it starts, because if the disease runs its course in 6 weeks from the time it starts, from its onset, then it takes 6 weeks to make it healthy.
You know, I would err on the side of caution anyway. You know, I mean, I wouldn't try to rush back into it. I would take that longer amount of time.
Right.
And geez, that's another reason I think I had so many problems, is because I never really had a proper quarantine area set up. I had one loft. It was my breeder loft. It was my training loft. It was my everything. So I got a new bird, man, I would just throw that bird in there, and you know, I've honestly probably dodged a lot of bullets, and it finally just caught up with me, you know. And now that I can finally separate birds, I have those individual cages I can put them in and really watch them, and a quarantine area to keep new birds in until you know, before I introduce them into the flock.
Now, what are you doing for a quarantine area?
So my quarantine area is I got a 50-gallon barrel on its side with a dog kennel on the outside of it, and I can't fit a ton of birds in there, but especially if I see a bird that's just looking funny, I can throw it in there. But I also got those show cages, so I can put, if I want to put some birds in show cages, I can put a bird in every other one, so that way there's no.
I'm calling those my observation cages.
Yeah, watch them, and then they can't put droppings in the other one's cage if you separate them out far enough.
Right.
And my breeder cages, it's like a 4x8 stack, 2 on each side. I can go cat a corner with that, so that way there's no way they're not sharing food, they're not sharing water, they're far enough away, and you keep them out that way. But I mean, it's all lessons learned, when you go through something like that.
Sure.
And it's still a scary thing when you're dealing with sickness, because there are a lot of different ones out there, and you definitely can't just Google it. You really do got to read up on it. I definitely feel like I've educated myself when I had that go through my loft, and learned about a lot of different things. And
that's the only thing you can do. I mean, I kind of think that's why we're talking, because it's tough to find information. There's a lot of what seems to be anecdotal theories. And green, fire this at it. It's
right.
You got this, something, give it some grit, that'll straighten it right up. Looks like it needs some your bird's limping, shoot it, give it some calcium, it needs some oyster shell, you can buy that for $20 a bag, stuff like that.
Right.
I worry about a lot of that stuff. Some of it's absolutely true. I believe that 100%, but not everything we're looking at is the same. And
right. Well, some of these old timers, they'll have their solution. Garlic for everything. Anytime a bird looks funny or the dropping man, just put some garlic, and then if it's worked for them in the past, that's just what they'll do. They'll do that all the time, or the 4-in-1. I still know guys that swear by that stuff, and maybe it works if you got a mild case of something. My situation might have been different, but it's everything looks like a nail when your solution is a hammer. But there really is a lot of different ways of looking at it and stuff. And that book, Fancy Pigeons, is a really good one for looking up different symptoms and stuff like that. And I mean, it even shows you pictures for an autopsy of what the organs would look like depending on what sickness might be there.
What was that book?
It's called Fancy Pigeons. It's actually a book out of Germany. It's translated into English and stuff, but it's a really good book for health and stuff like that. And they go into loft design stuff, but I consider that my go-to for any kind of sickness.
Is that big encyclopedia looking book that you showed me?
It's the blue book, and it just says Fancy Pigeons on it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good book for looking up. And they got one that's also called what is it? I think it's just called bear or breeding healthy pigeons or something like that is another good one. But they actually get all their stuff from this book. I mean, this is kind of like a really good go-to, but because I don't, like I said, I don't like looking up stuff on Google. A lot of the times it's, you know, the algorithm is strange about what you can get and what the solutions are. You know, this one specifically tells you what to treat with, and they give you a really good description too about symptoms, a wide range of symptoms, you know. And it's, when I was going through that stuff, a lot of symptoms overlap and stuff, so I was like, maybe it's coccidiosis and maybe it's this.
That's a tough one.
Yeah,
that's a tough one, because the droppings, oh man.
Oh yeah,
what Google
droppings? Yeah, Google my pigeons got green poop. It'll tell you 40 different things, you know, and everyone's for sure that this is what it is, you know. I mean, green droppings just mean you got issues going on with your liver, is my understanding, and a lot of things can cause issues with the liver.
Yeah, I can't even begin to explain that. When, you know, I'm kind of, all I know for sure is what they look like when they're doing great. The rest of the time, it's an off color. It just drives me nuts.
I know. And you can't help but look. I mean, it's, you know, you're always looking. I mean, you're cleaning out the trays, and this one doesn't look like that one, you know. And but a lot of things can go into that. Maybe the bird's starting to molt, or maybe it's getting ready to lay an egg or something, and, you know, or feed change is a big one.
I've gotten a little bit lighter on it, you know. I've lightened up on that worrying about the color all the time, but I think it's a good indication of an overall baseline on your bird. If you've got 40 birds that are all shaping the same, and you've got one bird that, you know, like I told Joe Hammonds today, I had one bird that just stuck out like a sore thumb. You know, you know it's not the same, it's not right, and you know that's why it come to my attention. But if you've got that one bird that's just spraying green, man, what do you do with it? I take it out. I take it away from the flock. I isolate it, and I give it, you know, what I think it might need. I don't ever medicate right away, unless it's like just crazy snotty, you know, some kind of respiratory deal. I don't ever medicate it right away. I'm looking for viral symptoms that might be kind of crazy. You know?
Do you put it on like any kind of like electrolytes or anything like the booster at all to help it?
Yeah. So like I've always attributed the green to gut health. So I do, and dehydration. In chickens, the greens was bloody. You know, the blood shows green in their droppings. So I kind of leaned on that. Now I never looked that up, but I believe that's green is the blood. But anyway, I won't dwell on that too much. That's a sign of gut health to me. So I do electrolytes with a probiotic. It's that rooster booster stuff. It's cheap, lasts a long time. You don't have to use very much of it. In fact, they don't like it when you do. So you got to make sure you don't use too much. But I've been using that stuff for years, and it's helped a lot of stuff. And I use it as a routine thing too, kind of once or twice a week at least. If I'm out there and I notice that they're not tap dancing like they were yesterday, or something's a little off, that's my first go-to is an electrolyte. It's hot out here. It's super hot out here.
Yeah.
And you know, versus where you're at, we're hot and dry, just dry all the time. So I think the water and the electrolytes is a really good thing.
I mean, that's big, because even when you read about PMV, which is probably one of the worst ones that you could get, really, but they even say that like electrolytes actually replenishes something that PMV is pulling out of them, and that you can bring birds around just by giving them electrolytes. So I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, really.
Yeah, and I'm starting to do the apple cider vinegar And it's not because I used that before, because I didn't use it all the time. I rarely used it, but I looked up one day. I was looking up borax to see how safe it was for pigeons.
Yeah.
And because
for the baths, you mean?
Yeah, I've been using it for the bath water. It keeps them nice, cleans them up, and that kind of stuff. But bottom line on that was that it was relatively non-toxic for the birds, so that's
right.
Cool. But it's so borax is boric acid, right?
Right.
So as I was on the goggle machine there, I was looking through, and I look at other results too. I dig a little deeper. I don't just pick the top kind of stuff.
Yeah. See what page 20's got there for you.
Right. And sometimes I hate to say it because they're listening and they're gonna give me more after I say this shit, but sometimes when I'm looking at suggested searches or more relevant results, it'll show something that my little ADD brain goes, squirrel. Oh yeah, let's look at this one. So what it said was that the acid in the vinegar was what promoted gut health. They need an acidic condition in their gut, is what it says, and they need that for proper digestion. So now I've said, okay, Chris, you're doing the electrolytes and stuff. You're trying to replenish what they're losing through their bad gut. So now you add a little bit of acid to your regimen, and now you're keeping their gut healthy. That's where I'm at. That and the grit. The grit is important too.
The apple cider vinegar. I don't know if you heard that one, but like a tablespoon to a gallon of water in their drinking water.
What I'm talking about,
yeah. I know a lot of guys, racer guys and stuff, and they swear by that stuff as well too. That it cleans them out and kind of boosts their gut health too. And the borax, I've heard that from a lot of different people, that's a great way to, keep mites and stuff off of your birds. And that was one of the things when I had that bird die and I took it to the university. They did the lab test. It came back with favor mites or something really small. I mean, like micro, real small bugs. Because I do a dip.
Feather mites or favor?
They were called favor, like FAVOR, favor mites, and they were super small. Like they go inside the skin.
I wish I had a Jamie here to look that up for me. I'm gonna look that up right now, just like Joe Rogan. Go ahead, keep talking.
There you go. And then they go down inside the feather shaft, like in that area. And because I do a permethrin dip, because I've gotten birds before that have had the lice, those real long looking lice on them, and then like immediately after doing that dip of permethrin, I'll just have a 5-gallon bucket. I think it's like 4 ounces or whatever for the permethrin, and I'll just dip the birds real good. And again, it's always been able to get rid of them, but I'm like, I don't know why that other bird had that on there, unless it's so small and it's so deep inside. You know what I mean? If it's inside the skin,
gotcha.
I don't know if it's getting down in there.
Oh, so it's calling them spider mites.
Okay.
And it's just calling them spider mites, which I think is that red thing. I'm looking for some images here. I think it's the red ones, isn't it? They're not really
like
red.
They'll be down inside where the shaft of the feather goes in them.
Right. So it's spider mites. Okay. Yeah, and they're red. I don't know. Maybe that's what I would call a feather mite. I'm not sure. Did you see it? Did you ever notice any stripes on the feathers or anything cool like that? You might not have if they hadn't gone through the molt while having the mites. You probably wouldn't notice that. But
yeah, and I know that like the big long ones, they'll actually leave like holes. Like caterpillars on a leaf. I mean, they eat away at the feathers, and the permethrin has gotten rid of those. And that's where I've been. Because I posted on the Racing Pigeon Global, a lot of racer guys on there about what do you do for baths that you can also kind of get 2 birds with 1 stone and treat for bugs. And the borax was a popular one. Then there was a couple other ones, like there's stuff called pink pomegranate, which is like a granular that you put in there. It's an antifungal.